time to get educated on your Second Amendment rights. Welcome to 2 full hours of Gun Owners Radio. Your hosts, Dave Stahl, Joe Germisi, and Michael Schwartz will teach you about firearms, self-defense, and the laws that affect your rights to keep and bear arms. Visit gunownersradio.com with questions to learn how to become a sponsor of Gun Owners Radio and get involved. Together, we will win. Now here's your hosts, Dave Stahl, Joe Germisi, and Michael Schwartz on The Answer San Diego.
All right, folks, welcome to Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Well, you know, recent events have proven again that gun laws don't work. Gun control laws just make it harder for law-abiding citizens to protect themselves. Here's an idea. Instead of making it harder for bad guys to get guns, which doesn't work, what if we try making it easier for good guys to get guns? How do we make that happen? You need to join a Second Amendment activist group like the San Diego County Gun Owners. SDCGO makes activism easy. Working together, we're getting more pro-gun officials elected. You need to join today at San Diego County GunOwners.com. Go to San Diego County GunOwners.com and join today. So, hey, guys, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Living the dream. Heading to Alaska.
What are you doing up in Alaska?
Going to go drive the Ice Road Trucker Road, and then
In July, or where are we? June?
it's probably going to be sloppy. What do you think?
You bringing salmon back?
Bringing salmon? I don't eat salmon.
I'll eat it for you. Bring
Well,
it back.
I know you
Yeah.
would, but can you imagine carrying a salmon on an airplane?
That's the reason you go to Alaska if you're not going to bring salmon back.
I'm going to an auto museum.
They have autos up in...
Yeah, this thing is awesome. I just seen pictures of it. I haven't had it, so I can't wait to do that. And I watched Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives and seen 2 restaurants I got to check out.
How long are you up there?
6 days.
6 days. When are you leaving?
I'm leaving tomorrow, coming back Saturday. You got anything going Saturday?
No. You need a ride home from the airport?
Isn't that prom night? Isn't that the prom? Oh, no, it's the following week.
Yeah. 2 weeks. Gun prom's in 2 weeks,
Oh,
everybody.
then I could pay you next Sunday. I thought it was, for some reason, my wife, she says, oh, yeah, when you get back, we got to change clothes and go right straight to the gun prom.
It's June 18th, everybody. June 18th.
You got any seats left?
We got a ton of seats left. Go to gunprom.com. Buy your seats.
You
buy
say
them
that all the
today.
time. That place is going to be packed.
Well, let's see. Let's hope. Action Jackson, you're going to be there at Gun Prom, right?
Yep.
All
Aren't
right.
you singing
got
the
tickets
national
for it.
anthem?
Maybe.
Yeah, right.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Are you going to hum it? One of the two. I don't know if you're going to sing or hum. What's easier, humming or singing? Probably
Humming?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I would think, too.
I'd like to see you do an interpretive dance.
Me, too. Oh, yeah. Can you dance, too?
Oh, I can sure dance for you.
I had a sneaky feeling. Okay, well, there you go. You asked for it,
I've
folks.
never seen such confidence from this young man.
I never have either.
That's
If
amazing.
there's time, then I'll slide on the dance floor.
Nice.
Really? Well, you know who else dances is Mike. You ever heard of the electric slide?
Isn't that the one where you slide really far?
Yeah, Google it. He'll show you how to do
Right,
it.
so I'm seeing a dance-off coming on here.
Yeah, I do too. We'll throw money at you guys. What do you think? So you going to wear a suit?
Yep.
What color?
Black and white.
Black and white. Oh, like a checkered flag, huh?
Dapper.
Yeah.
I'd wear purple. You could stand it. What are you wearing?
We got I'll wear a suit. Probably not as dapper as this young man. Are you going to have a top hat? Somehow I see him in a top hat.
I do too.
You know what I
You
mean?
look good in a top hat?
Yeah.
You know what a top hat is?
Oh, yeah, one of those big, massive hats that Abraham Lincoln wore.
Exactly
Very
right.
good. Your uncle. Yeah. We know what you're wearing, Tex.
You think?
You're
Really?
coming cowboy, right?
We'll see.
Oh.
You going to bust out the cowboy hat?
He
The
might be in the purple one.
The 10-gallon? I'd get a 10-gallon, but mine would be like a 15 or 16-gallon, I'm pretty sure. I'd have to really expand that.
I did buy another cowboy hat. I probably ought to. I don't want to. I should shave my beard down a little bit, though.
Why?
I don't know.
You're going to Alaska. You got to have a beard.
I know. I'm really thrilled about it.
But everybody listening, we have fewer than 2 weeks
Yes.
before Gun Prom. So go to gunprom.com right now. Buy your tickets.
Yes.
We're trying to get everything all finalized. We definitely have plenty of room. We can keep adding. We're in an enormous room. So
Bigger than normal.
well, it's the same room as last year, but it's enormous.
Are the lights going to be on?
Lights will work this year. I promise. We'll have a plan.
My wife asked me to ask you. She had to eat via her phone.
We'll get you squared away. Don't worry. But go to gunprom.com. Buy your tickets. It's only $99. Come out and have fun. You might win a flamethrower. Might win a
Flamethrower?
Might win a gun. Yeah, we got a flamethrower.
Hey,
there.
Joe Biden says you can't. Well, that's right. As long as it's not a cannon.
As long as it's not 9mm.
Dibs for the flamethrower.
I had a feeling. Why, are you going to barbecue tonight? Be a good way to cook.
You use it on your what we're going to do is we're going to serve kind of raw creme brulee, and then we're going to go around.
Oh, there you go.
Flamethrowers.
Yeah, then you can
Finish that off.
Smoke the top of it.
Speaking of flamethrowers, you can actually use that to light a fire.
Yes, you could, sort of. But first, you got to light the flamethrower.
Yeah, it just uses gas like from your car.
Yeah,
Jackson, like 87 octane.
exactly, for $6.42 a gallon.
Well, that's not bad.
So, what do you mean that's not bad? My goodness. Boy, you're going to be ready for $8 a gallon. Oh, that's right. You don't drive yet. You're still being chauffeured.
Technically, I do.
Technically.
Speaking
you do
of
drive?
Speaking of $8 a gallon,
Yes.
so Joe Biden, did you hear that Joe Biden wants to ban 9mm?
Yes.
It's just confirmation. I mean, we've been saying for years, look, it's not just a camel nose under the tent argument. This is real. If they ban anything, if they ban ARs, an AR functions just like any other firearm. It's just the beginning.
Yeah.
This is it. This is where the line is. You got to
And
stand
he doesn't
firm.
even know what he's talking about.
There's never a clue what he's talking about.
No, not a clue.
And if you don't believe it could happen, I mean, just look north. Canada just banned the sale of handguns, all handguns, a moratorium.
And a moratorium is not the real word. That's just because it's the real deal. If they call it a moratorium, it's done.
A lot of people. I've talked about this before. Do you remember what was the movie, Joe? You remember the movie in the '90s? Was it Dave, the president?
Oh, where's in the jacuzzi?
I don't remember jacuzzi, but it was.
I don't know why.
It was. Oh man, I'm totally.
Remember Dave? It was Dave.
Michael J. Fox was his chief of staff.
Right.
I thought that was a TV show, wasn't it?
No,
that's
a movie.
It's Mars Attacks.
No, not Mars Attacks.
No, and I'm trying to think of who starred. Who was Dave?
It was Douglas, Michael Douglas. No.
No.
I'm thinking. I'm totally screwing this up. Anyway, where I'm going with this, in the late 80s and 90s, there was a real effort to ban handguns. That actually was a real thing. It was a reasonable, according to them, it was a reasonable thing to say is, hey, we want to ban civilian ownership of handguns. This is a very real thing. So, when we talk about this stuff, when we talk about, hey, no, we're not going to ban ARs. We're not going to give an inch. This is it. We're holding the line right here, right now. We're not the extremists. We're standing in the way of extremists. And I think that that's an important point to make. And people need to be more unapologetic and far less friendly towards the idea of, well, gee, golly gosh, let's just kind of talk about it. Think about it. I was on KUSI on
Kevin Kline
on Dave. Yeah. But you know what? But it wasn't that movie I'm remembering now. It was The American President with Michael Douglas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now that one they were trying to ban. Yeah,
they were. That was a big part of his crime bill. Was they were going to ban handguns. They were going to ban handguns. That was a reasonable thing to talk about in those circles back then.
Well, and that stuff never goes away, and it's not going away now. It's a small. It's not to say it's a small part. It's a part of a much bigger plan. And people need to be disarmed for them to do the rest of the plan, and that is just not ever going to stop until people stop it. And that's just how it is.
It'll never. As long as you have people that believe that, they will never stop until they think they can accomplish what they need to accomplish.
Yeah, well, finally, there's some. I guess some Republicans finally are standing up and talking about it. So, I mean, that's a good sign. I don't know if it's. I don't want to say it's too little, too late, but it's a good sign anyway.
Yeah, and they're point out a couple things. Everybody listening, the Union Tribune. There's an op-ed from me in yesterday's Union Tribune. Check it out. It's all about basically what we're talking about right now. It's talking about the different attempts to try to basically what's the problem right now, with as far as gun ownership. And I talk about ARs and talk about school safety and all that other good stuff. NBC, local NBC, there's a good interview, and then KUSI as well. So we're out there in the media. Find that stuff, spread it out, show your friends, and don't give an inch.
Being your own first responder means more than just learning how to use a gun. It also includes medical training. We're going to talk about it with Ron Charrette from Medic Up Consulting in next.
But first, if you have legal matters that involve firearms, then you need to call California firearm lawyer John Dillon. And if you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant, call our trusted firearms attorney, John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. Call 760-642-7150, or you can visit his website at DillonLawGP.com.
All right, you've heard of lawyering up?
Yep.
Well, we're going to talk about medicing up.
That sounds like a good idea to me.
With Ron Charrette, he's the owner of Medic Up Consulting. Ron, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Perfectly. How are you, sir?
Good, good. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. So tell us about Medic Up Consulting. What do you guys do?
Yeah, so Medical Consulting, what we do right now, we do LA County CCWs. We also incorporate medical training, so like stop the bleed, use of tourniquets, wound packing, chest seals, stuff like that. Our whole goal is to make, like anyone into like a force multiplier. So, a little bit about myself. I'm a deputy sheriff also for the last 9 years, also EMT last 5 years. And our team, it was about 7 of us, consists of ex-military and EMTs and law enforcement. Yeah, so we try to educate the public, just these firearms, be safe with it, firearms, be safe with it, know your laws, know the limits and all that. And also, how to fix yourself in case you were to get hurt, this stuff happens every day, whether it's a car accident or you taking out your gun to protect yourself, stuff like that, maybe an active shooter, Lord forbid.
Well, I learned first aid back in the 80s, and it was, it was pretty basic back then, and it feels like within about the last 20 years, first aid in general has become more focused and a little bit far more technologically advanced, with like tourniquets are a big part of first aid these days. People know how to use it way better than they used to, and they're sold pretty regularly. I mean, you can practically, find them at any drugstore these days. They're all over the place. But it seems like the most important, maybe you can speak to this being an EMT. Mm-hmm. It seems like, the most important thing on any emergency situation is to stop people from bleeding. That if they broke a bone or whatever, you can set that later. But if they're bleeding, you got to act right now.
Yes. So that's one of the major pushes that we, showing, whether it's teaching police officers or just civilians. It's like you got to stop that bleed. You can bleed out between 1 to 5 minutes, depending how severed that artery is. We talk about femoral and our brachial artery. I'm not trying to get too technical, but some general terms. We got to stop that bleed right away. Otherwise, that person, they're actively trying to die in front of you. If they're massive hemorrhaging and all that. So
you said 1 to 5 minutes?
1 to 5 minutes. Exactly.
And what's a typical? What's the typical response from an ambulance? It's not 1 to 5 minutes.
No. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. So you got to know this stuff.
Yeah. So you're looking at hopefully within 7 minutes if they answer. So you might be, your question might be like, what do you mean if they answer? So working and living out in LA, Los Angeles area,
mm-hmm.
A lot of people find it hard to believe. I don't know about San Diego, but a lot of people find it hard to believe that when they call 911, they expect people whoever it may be to show up. But what happens when they don't answer the call? So that's a common thing in LA City area, and our students can attest to this also, is that when they call 911, no one picks up or they get an answer machine. So we drive it home where you have to learn these vital skills just in case your safety net, aka the 911 system, is not working. So that, to our surprise,
what is that? Maybe you don't know the answer to this. We don't have to get too deep into this, but
yeah.
What do you mean it's not working? Like, are there just not enough operators, or what's going on that they wouldn't pick up?
Impacted the whole EMS system. That's what's crazy. What's going on? It's really prevalent in the LA City area. So, So that's why at our CCW courses, we teach Stop the Bleed Incorporated in our CCW courses. They actually learn this skill. And I say a group of 15 to 20 students, I ask the question, all right, who in the group has called 911? You get about half the people. Okay, out of half the people, who called 911 and someone not answer? You'll get about one or two. And everyone's looking at each other like, wow, that's a thing? Yes, it's a thing. So it's more important for you to be your own first responder. You having a gun on you as a CCW owner, and knowing this skill, the medical skill. It's crazy. A lot of people don't know this. I don't know how it is in San Diego. If you guys ever even come across that at all.
It's the same way, but even better weather.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know, honestly. I haven't heard about that level of no response from 911 down here in San Diego, but that doesn't mean it's not the same. But no matter what, like you said, ambulances are at least 7 minutes away, and someone can bleed out in 1 to 5 minutes. I've been on the scene of a horrible accident, and here and there a couple of medical emergencies, and you got to act. You got to act right here and now. And I got to tell you, I know that if you don't know what you're doing and you sit there and you watch somebody pass, you watch somebody die, I guarantee you're going to be thinking about that the rest of your life. I could have done something. I could have done something.
I'll stay forever. I'll stay with you forever. And, you have that survivor's guilt after the fact, and what could I have done, to make it better that one, day. So that's one of the reasons why I took this medical thing, seriously, is me being a deputy sheriff. I'm like, whoa, I don't know that much. So let me learn this skill. And this skill just bloomed into something where I'm teaching fellow officers and deputies as well as the public too. So it's a beautiful thing that's, it grew out of this.
That's interesting. Okay, so, and we were talking about the stop the bleed. That's like the phrase that, like I said, it's become more focused and, like I said, back in the 80s when I learned first aid, I mean, it was everything from, we spent as much time on how to remove a splinter as we did, putting direct pressure and indirect pressure, you know what I mean? But it really seems to be a lot more focused and a little bit more data driven is maybe a little bit a better description, but stopping the bleed seems to be the second only to someone not breathing. If they're not breathing, you got to get them breathing first. Is that?
Yes. So we all know about CPR, have a understanding of what CPR is, but stopping the bleed is just as important. I say it like this. You see drops of blood coming out of someone, a massive bleed. So we got to first grasp what a massive bleed looks like. And, you got to think of like a small garden hose or, something that flowing of blood is just so much. You're like, wow, you need to stop right away. But the skill through the Stop the Bleed program, allows everyday people to learn this vital skill wherever. We're just one of many, resources out there able to give, facilitate this subject to the general public. If more people learn this skill from traumatic, they could survive most traumatic injuries regarding, loss of blood. And this applies everywhere. It applies, we drive cars every day. Yeah. Right. How many times you see a car accident on the side of the road? Or, something that happens, you work late night. And if you're more likely to use this skill, than anything else.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially that's probably the most common, right? Is a car accident. I mean, honestly, most of us are probably going to get through life without having to deal with a bullet wound. But it's less likely we're going to get through life without being witness or possibly being a part of a pretty serious car crash. That's probably the most common. Is that the most common? What do you see normally? What are people dealing with out there when it comes to, something that they could have helped as far as first aid?
Car crashes, motorcycle down. So we have a lot of mountain areas in Los Angeles National Forest. So car crashes, big time. Bicyclists in the pathways, and out in the busy freeways that we have, car accidents, massive bleeding. that type of stuff. So if you're a bystander or even it happened to yourself, you can, before first responders even show up, we get that 1 to 5 minute window for you to start acting. We're not, California, we don't have a mobile blood bank yet, like some states do, or, some countries do. So we got to, stop it right then and there. And not only that, a lot of people buy, say, first aid kits, and they may have never opened their first aid kits before.
Yeah, right.
Or they get a first aid kit with 130 Band-Aids in it. Okay, I'm good to go. So it's kind of like educating people too. What's the correct type of first aid kit you should get for a situation that you potentially die from? So that's a whole nother educational thing too. It's like, okay, I took a class. Now, what are the correct tools? That's why our classes, we give each student a tourniquet, a cat tourniquet or a soft T tourniquet. Yeah. And we actually train everyone on both of those tourniquets because both of those are pretty much out in the field, whether it's by police officers or by fire departments. So we want to train the public to know all these tools and how to apply it to themselves or, a fellow neighbor. Because it's one thing of buying it. Okay, it's in my car. It's in the shrink wrap paper. Then you need to use it at the time of need. You're like, oh, crap, I got, blood on my hands. Now I can't open up the plastic because the same thing is going to In-N-Out and opening up a ketchup thing, and I can't, my hands keep slipping, right? So it's that whole educational thing also that, okay, you learn the skill, now you know what kind of tools you need. And so, yeah, that's all, we were trying to convey and get out there.
Hey, folks, do you have jewelry that nobody wears anymore? Maybe a watch that's just gathering dust in your closet? What if you went to Leo Hamel's and sold it? You could use the cash to get a gun or take that pistol class you've been talking about. Well, when you sell your used jewelry or watches to Leo Hamel, not only do you get the best deal in town, you're also supporting the Second Amendment. One of the easiest ways to support the Second Amendment is to support our partners like Leo Hamel. Call him at 619-299-1500, or you can visit their showroom on San Diego Avenue and always get awesome service at Leo's.
All right, we're talking to Ron from Medic Up Consulting about first aid, and I just found out off the air, Action Jackson, what did you learn how to do over the weekend?
Apply a tourniquet.
Nice. And how old are you?
9.
Was it hard to do the tourniquet?
It's actually easier than you would think.
It is easier to think. And who taught you how to do it?
Ashley, aka Smashly on Instagram.
Smashly did, and she's a police officer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Did
awesome.
you do it on your dad? The tourniquet?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet.
Oh, that's.
Be ready, Dad.
No, jeez.
When you're sound asleep.
I'm not quite sure what that.
I'm not quite sure where that's going.
A little
either.
worried. All right. Anyway, back to Ron.
Yeah, Ron.
Ron, how's it going, man?
Good. Yeah, that's exactly who should be learning this skill is children. I would push it hard that if you learn this skill to teach children in the school setting, I mean, it just makes sense to us.
Well, kids get hurt a lot, right?
Absolutely.
They're always getting punctured and, whatever, skinned alive.
But I think Ron's thinking more like, say, from a school shooting, where kids could actually jump in, and possibly, because, first aid, it's a matter of minutes, right?
Correct. So, this is exactly, we have a lot of school admin coming to our courses. And after we're done with the course, they usually come up after the class and they, want to chit chat. And they're looking at us like, why is this not getting taught into schools? I'm like, you know what? You just became an ambassador to this program. It's up to you now to go take this information you just learned and take it back to, your admin, the higher ups, and let them know why this is important.
Now, you're in L.A.? Are you an L.A. sheriff? Deputy?
Yes, L.A. sheriff. Yes.
Okay, and you're Medic Up Consulting. You guys teach classes then?
Yes. We teach Stop the Bleed classes. Yeah.
Okay, and so anyone in the Orange County, L.A.
Yeah.
Even Ventura County, San Bernardino, anybody in the surrounding area can come take classes from you.
Yes, we had people all the way from Las Vegas come out and take our classes. But yeah, everywhere. We just held one today too in South Orange County in Mission Viejo to a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym. 19 of students showed up over there and learned it actually today, and they were all issued tourniquets also. But yeah,
nice.
we're really busy. Make sure we're trying to get at least 1 or 2 classes out a month. Trying to pack it in and just give this skill out.
And you also teach the CCW class.
Yeah, we teach LA County CCW.
So talk about that. He's issuing, right? That's how's that going, you think?
Yeah, he is issuing. So far, there's up to 3,000 issued in the last year and a half. So yeah, it's beautiful. We help our students to get on the right track on how to figure this thing out. It's not that difficult living in LA County, to be honest. There's a crime everywhere, so everyone has good cause. I think everyone's just wondering, what's good cause? I'm like, where do you live? Oh, LA City. All right. Do you see this, and that? Yes, that's your good cause. I'm like, do you have a Rolex watch? That's your good cause. It's so bad right now. It's out of control.
Well, they actually, that's not bad. 3,000 in a year and a half. That's about on. That's what San Diego's issuing. About the same track. So it's almost 200 a month, something like that.
Very nice.
I'm not good at math. I had to ask Jackson to do the division for me, but he did it.
Easy peasy.
It's easy peasy. Hey man, why don't you ask him your question? What questions you have for him?
What's your favorite gun?
Good question.
Oh, so great question. I just picked up a Staccato 2011, P Duo. So.
Oh, that's right. You're a cop, right? That's not a fair question. He's allowed to. That wasn't good. Yeah, he's allowed to have anything he wants. He's a little. Some of us are a little bit more equal than others.
Yeah. So my second favorite, I guess you can say, will be the 1911 TRP I just picked up also.
Those are outstanding. In fact, weren't those made for wait, I might be wrong. I was going to say, were they made for LAPD SWAT or no. I think they were made for, I think originally the TRP was Springfield copied what they made for, it might have been FBI SWAT. I could be wrong.
You got me there.
Yeah.
You got me there.
Super nice though, right?
Those beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
What do you carry?
So I carry at work a HK45 USP.
Is that your choice, or how do they do that?
No, yeah, it's my choice. They issue us MMP 2.0 9mm. But yeah, I always had the H&K on me. I like it. I train with it all the time. Have a Surefire X300 on it. I love it. Can't complain.
Now you've been a cop more than a couple of years, right? You've been there for a while. Am I allowed to say cop? That's not offensive. Should I say police officer or deputy? That's not like
whatever. It's the same. Yeah.
All right. You've been a deputy for years. How's it been being in law enforcement the last couple of years? It's been a little sporty, right?
Yeah, it's been a little difficult. Things here and there, but I think the rewarding thing out of this is teaching my peers. This medical stuff, going back to the medical stuff. I was fortunate enough to train our Sheriff's Academy a couple of weeks ago. 80 recruits. Out of the 80 recruits, I asked them who knows what a tourniquet is. I say maybe 20 of them out of 80 didn't know what it was. Actually, sorry, 20 out of 80 knew what it was. The rest of them did not know what it was. So it was really rewarding that week, me teaching them that skill and showing them, and they all got issued tourniquets themselves. It made me feel good. Just in case an incident was to ever arise, they will not forget that moment. So that was a self-fulfilling thing to me.
Tourniquet guidance with tourniquets has changed over the last 30 whatever years. It used to be that they were really the guidance used to be that you should only use a tourniquet when you know the person is going to lose the limb. And that is no longer true. Now it's like you tourniquet everything, man.
Yeah. So we're tourniqueting for massive bleed. It's not for everything. So people have a misconception. I say a gunshot wound got through on through. Well, if it's oozing blood versus massive bleeding, that's going to take something else. It's not going to necessarily take a tourniquet. But if you see that massive bleeding, you're going to throw that tournament. What we teach is high and tight on the limb, so whether it's arm or leg. Get it high and tight. Yeah, you can have that tourniquet on there for a nice up to 6 hours. We had other emergency trauma doctors in our courses, and they've seen up to 14 hours.
Jeez.
And not lose a limb. So it's, that phenomenon, or that old saying of, you're going to lose a limb. That is not the case. That is not the case at all. But yeah, for us in LA County, we're fortunate enough at the point of injury and applying that tourniquet, you're going to be seen by a trauma 1, trauma 2 doctor, there's rather trauma 1, trauma 2 hospital within 30 minutes. So that tourniquet in reality is not going to be that much time on you, given the fact that hopefully, someone called 911 or 911 is on their way. Or if not, buddy transport, putting someone in your car and taking them to the trauma center. So, yeah, up to 30 minutes tops, you'll probably have that on, in this day and age. That's awesome. A big city.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And how often do you guys have classes every week, or how often are you guys doing classes?
So we have classes. We do twice every month. So it'd be in various areas like San Bernardino, in Los Angeles area, Orange County, various areas, wherever we can find a venue. We're always looking for more venues. We always want to expand. My goal, me and my wife say we want to go teach out in San Diego and spend a nice weekend over there. So if you guys have San Diego that wants to have a Stop the Bleed course by Medic-Up Consulting, we'd be more than happy to go down there. But yeah, we're trying to expand, trying to get all of Southern California to learn this skill. And you're going to learn the skill, and you're also going to walk away with a tourniquet. You're going to learn the skill and get a tourniquet with the class. Instead of like, oh, I'll get it later on. No procrastination. You will have one. So.
Nice. What else do you what about like what do they call it? Are they Joe, what's the term for the
hemostatic?
Hemostatic, like the hemostatic, like sponges and
yeah, like combat. So it's called combat gauze or Celox gauze. So yeah, that stuff. So think of gauze. Say you have a pack a wound. Say like the upper clavicle area. We call those junctional areas. That's where you're gonna pack a wound. So you might, if you have gauze, which is great, combat gauze even better. If you had nothing at all, you can use a T-shirt or a sock, and we don't care about being a sterilized environment at all. The reason for that, because we have 1 to 5 minutes before we bleed out. So the infection stuff, they can deal with at the hospital, but at the point of injury, we gotta stop the bleed right away. So that's another little tip that we give out. And we have a lot of doctors coming to our classes too, and they can attest to it. Yeah, we don't care about sterilization at this point.
Right.
Get in there. If it's their sock, it's dirty, you're going to use it and pack that wound and stop that bleed.
What do you think about Jackson? What do you think about that, man? Would you put a sock in someone's wound? Kind of gross.
I mean, it would be gross, but it's better than nothing.
Amen to that. You're exactly right.
Yep.
So being a deputy close to L.A., I'd imagine, I don't know how much L.A. County deputies go into the actual city. I don't know what the overlap is with LAPD, but L.A. in general is considered kind of a hot spot when it comes to criminals with guns. How often do you see a gunshot wound on the job?
So gunshot wounds are very prevalent. So where I'm working, I'm doing a lot more training, so I'm not much in the field right now. But gunshot wounds is a really prevalent thing. So I have our Instagram page at Medic-Up Consulting, and I'm always posting about, whatever's happening in our neighborhoods, because I think that's, one, it's helping the good cause for CCW holders, hint, hint. And two, it shows that what's actually happening around us. That's not making the major news. But gunshot wounds is happening all the time. Not only that, is stabbings and machete type wounds and stuff like that. So there's a lot of little stuff that's happening.
So Medic-Up Consulting, what's your website?
MedicUpConsulting.com, and you can find us on Instagram at Medic-Up Consulting.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Associate editor of Concealed Carry magazine, Beth Alcazar, is next. But first, do you ever wish cleaning your gun was easier? Well, clean, lube, and protect your guns with Seal One. Seal One CLP Plus is natural, non-toxic, and environmentally friendly. Clean your guns easier and faster. You'll also smell better, too. Something the wives will appreciate. One and done with Seal One. Ask for it by name at your local gun shop or get some on their website, seal1.com. That's seal1.com. All right, we've got Beth Alcazar on the line. Beth, are you there?
I am here.
How are you today?
I'm doing very well. How about you?
I'm not doing bad at all. I have absolutely no idea what we're going to talk about.
So that's
why
I'm going to talk to Beth.
How come it doesn't say Joe?
It does say that. But anyway, Beth, welcome to the show. It's outstanding to have you here. This is
I'm excited and honored. Thank you, guys.
Oh, it's more exciting for me since it's like talking to Mick Jagger here. Because
Mick Jagger?
Oh, yeah. Beth is the first gun writer that I came across when I got back into firearms and things like that. She was, and I think she's still she was a blog writer for Concealed Carry. She's done much more since then. But that was her stuff was the first stuff I discovered, and it was really influential in like starting our blog page on San Diego County Gun Owners blog page. It looks the way it looks mostly because of Beth's influence. So I was really happy to be able to talk to her here today.
Oh my gosh, that's just making me blush. I really am just so honored, and just what a cool thing to hear. I'm so glad that some little thing that I might have done could inspire or encourage someone like you to do what you're doing. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, well, that's why we do the things that we do here.
That's what I was just going to say. It's kind of people like you, Beth, is what motivates people to do what they do. And really, without being, don't blush, but that's kind of your goal, right? To impact people.
Absolutely. I mean, and getting involved with the firearms industry, it's amazing how close-knit this group can be and how supportive they can be. And of course, it becomes, for a lot of us, more than just a job or a career. It becomes a mission. And it's so awesome to be part of that mission with so many great 2A advocates out there, like guys like you doing what you're doing every week too. That's fantastic.
So, Beth, I want to start because you're like me. You've done a million different things here. So when did you start writing? Because I know you're a trainer. You do a bunch of other things too. But let's start with the writing part. So how did you get into that?
Yeah, well, I guess I've been writing for a long time, really. When I got involved with the shooting, hunting, outdoor industry about 20-something years ago, I actually decided that I wanted to kind of get a mentor in the business that was doing writing and maybe magazine work and things like that. That was kind of a goal of mine. So I did find a prolific writer that was in this industry. And it wasn't the industry per se that attracted me. I just wanted the experience, the real world boots on the ground experience. So that's when I started a lot of ghostwriting and interviewing a lot of people in the industry and kind of almost living vicariously through different people. I wrote a lot for like Realtree and Mossy Oak on their blogs. And that's kind of where it started, just getting my feet wet and getting little interviews with really awesome people. But the more I learned about the industry, the more I loved it and really enjoyed it. And I guess it just kind of branched out from there into articles. And when I finally got in touch with Kevin Michalowski of Concealed Carry magazine, he had been wanting me to write for the magazine for a while. And I thought, Kevin, I'm just a mom with a gun. I mean, I don't know that that's very interesting or anyone would care about what I had to say. And he said, Beth, that's exactly why we want you to write for us. So that's kind of where it just snowballed. And every idea I took to the USCCA, they were excited about, and they kind of let me have a little free reign and start a blog. And it continues to this day. It's just grown with many more contributors and other voices that are part of the USCCA website's blog nowadays. But I guess that's kind of how it sparked and how it grew into a wildfire and how I ended up being a solid and dedicated participant in the 2A industry.
So, and you started, when I first came across your stuff, I think you were probably writing a couple of articles a week on the blog, because I used to look forward to, okay, there's a new one. There should be a new one there. There wasn't one yesterday. And so then you transitioned to the magazine, to the USCCA Concealed Carry magazine after that, right?
That's correct. I basically pursued the USCCA relentlessly until they hired me. And my title, even though it's basically an editor for the magazine. Luckily, I get to do so much more than that with the company, and that's where the training side comes in. So I kind of have a foot in what we call the content side, which is our videos, our magazine, our books. But I also have a foot pretty solid in the training side, which is more based on curriculum and the different courses and classes that we're developing and offering.
Okay, because the material stuff too is really good. Because I remember there were several articles I think that you did that inspired me to do different articles as well. And I know there was one in particular when you were talking about something that happened with at the school where one of your children was. It was like a career day thing or something came up, and the idea that you were a gun writer and you couldn't say that or something like that happened.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's so amazing how many people that has reached and how many people remember that. But when my son was, I guess it was the 3rd or 4th grade, they had career day at his school. And of course, a flyer went out inviting everybody. And it basically said careers of all kinds. You know, we welcome everyone to come share with our kids. And I filled it out. I filled out the form and sent it in. And I was basically told, well, we don't want you influencing our children, so you can come, but you can't talk about the industry in which you work. And that was really disheartening. But, you know, the good thing, my daughter, this year, actually, they had the same career week. And I filled out the form, and I was invited. And this time I did get to share everything that I wanted to about firearms and safety and about, working with children to make sure they have a correct mindset and that they're responsible and respectful around guns. So that was quite a difference from just a few years ago.
Well, that's great progress, especially in view of today's current environment of things that are going on out there. But
Beth, where are you based at?
I'm in Central Alabama. And so it's a pretty gun-friendly state, but, there's...
Well, I wanted to kind of preface that because, most likely if you were in California, that invitation probably wouldn't have happened.
Well, you were in the same place, though, right, when that happened with your son. Were you in the same area?
Same area, same school, a lot of the same people, too, as far as the principals, school counselors, et cetera. So I'm not sure what the difference was. I'm not sure if it just kind of slipped in or got unnoticed or I don't know.
Well, I'm sure there's been a lot of terrible school incidents, and, now people, whether they want to agree with it or not, really need to look and listen to what you have to say.
Absolutely. And, what made this even more special for me is that the middle school where my son is now, when my daughter was actually young enough to attend that school, we actually had an incident here that did not make national news. But we had an armed gunman come into the school and take 5 of the girls hostage in the gym. And luckily, we had an armed resource officer. And a good guy with a gun stopped a bad guy with a gun. And that's exactly the kind of messaging we want to continue. And also, of course, support that with safety and all the other things that people need to know, especially if they choose the concealed carry lifestyle, whether they're teachers, parents, or otherwise.
And CNN wasn't all over that story.
I'm
what a
totally
shock!
Shocked that no one jumped on that.
Amazing, right?
Did they at least write it up locally? Did this happen in the last couple of years?
This was in February of 2013, and while it did get some local attention, it was very little local attention. In fact, I will share that story even when I'm teaching classes here, just 15 miles down the road, and most of the people, when I mention it, have no idea what I'm talking about.
It's one of the things you've already touched on. 2 of the major problems. One is, of course, that it's just okay to be biased against us. Well, no, you can't come talk to kids. You're a heathen or whatever, right? That's one. And then the other one is, it's hard for the news to report when something doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like now that's as close to something happening as it gets. But usually, the reason guns are an advantage is because they make sure that bad things don't happen, and that's a tough news story to write. So,
yeah, absolutely. But we're certainly grateful for that resource officer that was there, and I've been grateful to a community that's mostly been very welcoming to teaching and training and different classes that I host. And it's kind of my mission to not just teach people across the nation, but it's fantastic when I have the opportunities to reach people in my own community. These could be the folks that I'm, going to the grocery store with, or that are teaching my own children. So it's really an awesome feeling to have even some of my neighbors or fellow classmates or teachers show up at these firearm safety classes and, take this into their own hands and take some responsibility for their own safety. It's kind of a cool feeling.
Well, and that's what's nice about the writing and the teach. That's why I enjoy doing all this stuff too, because you never know who you're going to touch and what information is going to get out there and what somebody's going to do with it. And that's a really rewarding part. When we come back after the break, Beth, I want to ask you about how you and your husband talk to the kids about these incidents in schools and things like that.
Yeah.
A lot of companies are frustrated with their websites. Yeah, it looks old, it's out of date, it's not getting customers. Well, hey, have I got an answer for you? Sage Tree, they get it. Since 2005, Sage Tree has been helping companies with websites that look great, work great, and get leads. You can stop being frustrated by your website and get one that you're going to be proud to share. Contact Sage Tree today to get a website that makes the phones ring. Getting started is easy. Call 866-728-9100. That's 866-728-9100. And they will fix your website today. All right, back to Beth.
I think we're getting requests, Beth. That you got to tell the end of the story from the school. So what actually happened? What are the details?
Well, the details were that the gunman or the armed intruder he used to work at the school, so they recognized him, and that's how he gained entry into the building. And it's still unknown to me. I do not know what his reasons were, but that resource officer within 15 or 20 minutes was able to defuse the whole situation, and nobody was harmed. And this was happening right around school buses getting let out and heading home and everything. So you can imagine that social media was just exploding with all sorts of things that were just heart-wrenching and scary. And we are just all so grateful for that officer that was there. And unfortunately, I don't know any more details than that, except, like I said, the man used to work there. They recognized him. They let him in. And thank goodness things didn't turn out in any other different way, because that would have been a very scary and tragic thing.
So the officer did not shoot this gentleman?
Not that I am aware of. I think he was able to basically talk him through the situation. But, obviously the armed intruder saw this man, a police officer, with a gun, and probably made some assumptions that, this guy means business, he's trained, and he has the means to stop me. So that's just an assumption. I don't know all the details, and I've never seen those details released.
But it's a good reason why soft targets should not ever be soft targets.
Exactly. Because, again, I don't know what that man's intent was. He had the means to hurt people, and he didn't, because, thank God, somebody with the means to protect our children was there and trained and ready to take action.
Well, at least people are listening to you, because we got all kinds of requests to hear the rest of the story.
Well, great.
There you go. Just touching more folks.
Yes, indeed.
So, hey, Beth, I wanted to ask you, before the break I started to ask, and, both you and your husband are firearms instructors, correct?
That's correct.
And you still have school-age children. And I was wondering, have you guys had the conversation with your kids, regarding some of the school shootings and things that are going on? And what did that look like if you guys talked to them?
Yes, absolutely. And often we've had discussions with our children about guns, about safety, about training, and about the possibility of, bad people with evil intentions doing terrible things. My youngest is a little too young to get into any details. She would probably get a little frightened, but we always encourage her and support her and tell her, there are adults and parents and trained people who, our job is to keep you safe, and you just have to, use good observational skills and be aware of what's happening around you, and, make sure that you do what you need to under any kind of emergency situations or drills. However, my son, he's in middle school now, and we've definitely had conversations with him about how frightening it is that schools have been targeted. And, he has told me often the kinds of drills or training that they do in the school. And he's expressed a lot of frustration at times that, at least in the past, especially, they were doing basically, lock the doors, turn off the lights, and go hide in the corner. And from the training that I've been through and from the experiences I've had, I think also just from common sense, I think a lot of us would think, ooh, that's kind of frightening. And, it probably is not the best plan, especially for those schools that do have the ALICE program, which our schools in Alabama are supposed to follow. So he and I have had a little bit deeper conversation. If there is ever opportunity to escape, I want him to take that opportunity. And, I also want him to make good decisions and think, and make sure that he's not doing anything rash under these kinds of circumstances. So the only thing you can do to help is talk them through it and try to best answer their questions and prepare them. And, I am one of those parents that I train my kids how to use tourniquets when they can, and I send them to school with a bullet-resistant plate in their backpack. That's something they carry with them a lot, and they probably either have at their desk or on their body. And, I'm willing to take those extra steps if they potentially make any difference at all. But it's really about mindset, ultimately. And I don't want to scare my children. I just want to give them better opportunities to be prepared.
Excellent. Great points.
Absolutely.
Do you shoot with your son, or does your son shoot?
Yes, and the cutest thing about him, my husband got him, the Red Ryder BB gun for Christmas. I mean, set it up just like in the movies, where it was hidden in a little spot and it was the last gift. Mm-hmm. And I swear that this cute little boy looked up at us and he goes, "But guns are for big people," because we had trained him so much about, guns are for adults, and if you find one, don't touch it, and make sure adults are with you, and blah, blah, blah. And he was very timid at first, and he didn't seem really ready or committed to practicing with an actual firearm. He knew all the rules, and he could say them backwards and forwards, but he just was a little anxious. But now fast forward to today, he wants to join the local youth shooting club, and he goes with us to IDPA matches and Steel Challenge, and he is really better with like a semi-automatic handgun than most adults that I know. So,
wow.
So awesome to see him grow and develop.
So did you have to cut the stock off so the BB gun would fit?
Luckily, this kid gets some good genes from my side of the family. He's super tall for his age, and luckily he's fit into a lot of these different guns better than most his age. So,
because my dad had to cut the stock off so my little skimpy little butt would fit and I could shoot something with it. How old is your son?
He is now 12.
Well, we got Action Jackson here, who's 9 and shoots a Glock once a week.
Yeah, he's actually got a question for you too.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your favorite gun?
My goodness.
Good question.
Oh my gosh, I love the AR-15 that Steel City Arsenal built for me because it's very lightweight and it has a cool Borderlands theme, and I love to use it in competition. But I still absolutely love the very first carry gun I picked out for myself, and I still carry my XDS 9mm. I know it's not like super fancy and amazing, but I think it's more for just nostalgia and just because it was such a milestone that it stands out as still one of my absolute favorite guns.
It's kind of like owning your first car,
Right? You never forget.
It may not be the best car, but it's your first car.
Yes, and there were so many good things that went along with the research and purchase of that firearm. So for me, it's a feel-good moment every time I think about that firearm, and I use it in competition too. So it's not just my backup gun. It's been put to a lot of rounds downrange. So
if you want to have fun, ask Joe what's his favorite gun, and
Joe, what's your favorite gun?
He won't be able to answer.
Depends on the week, right, Joe?
It does. You can't have a favorite gun.
It's like having a favorite kid.
It's a tough question. Tough question.
So what is it? What would you have to, if you had to nail it down right now, Joe?
Quick.
I can't do
Look at
that.
this
I mean,
guy.
it's the one I carry all the time, the one I shoot all the time.
They're not listening. They're not
The
gonna
one you
get,
just
they're not going
bought
to get jealous
all the time.
I just found my John Wayne Rooster shooter though, my single action
There you go.
army.
You got it?
Yeah, I did finally.
Have you fired it?
No, not yet, but this week.
All right.
Well, Beth, thank you so much for coming on here.
Great interview.
What a great interview. We're going to have you back, though, because there's a bunch of other things I didn't get to ask you here yet. So,
oh my gosh,
people want to find you.
I would love to.
No, wait, hey, if people want to discover you, where's a good place?
How do they follow you around?
Of course, they can go to the USCCA's website. So go to uscca.com or usconcealedcarry.com. And if you're on social media, feel free to pop on to Pacifiers and Peacemakers with Beth Alcazar. I try to keep up with a lot of my events and training and other random thoughts that pop into my head.
Pacifiers. I like that. All right, kid. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Y'all as well. Keep doing all this awesome work.
A gun is a great self-defense tool, but have you considered your strength and fitness as a self-defense tool?
All right. Did you know we have a world-class training school here in San Diego? Well, pilots can fly almost every day. We're close to the ocean, the desert, and we have mountains, and we're right near an international border and a major military base. That's why San Diego is one of the best places to learn how to fly in the world. Learn to fly in the heart of San Diego, right at Montgomery Field. Getting started is easy. Give them a call at 858-569-1822 or learn to fly with SDFTI. Give them a call, 858-569-1822.
All right, our next guest is my buddy Leo Hamel. How you doing?
Doing good.
Good. Founding board member of San Diego County Gun Owners. Of course, most people know you from the commercials, from your jewelry store, right?
Correct.
Do you get recognized all the time?
Pretty much.
Really? People come up to you and say, hey.
At least once a day.
Isn't that it's crazy, right? So most people know you from the jewelry store, but I want to just give me a minute here to set some context.
Right.
What was about 3 years ago, we went to lunch, and I recently lost some weight. I got a long way to go, but a big part of what I was doing, the program I was doing, happened from this lunch that you and I had. You opened up LeoFit, and you were telling me it's this new high-tech gym, and you're kind of explaining it to me, and I didn't really get it. I didn't understand it. And you said, you know what, just come and give it a try. It's the best way to explain what's going on is to come give it a try. And back when I was early 20s, like teens, high school, early 20s, I was pretty much a gym rat. You know, I spent a lot of time in the gym, loved it, lifted a lot of weights. So I went in and tried it, and it's these two high-tech machines, and it's all computerized. And you said, you just got to 25, maybe 30 minutes, and that's a full workout. So I thought, all right, let's try this. And I walked out of there after 30 minutes, and it felt like the way it felt after an hour and a half, maybe 2 hour workout from when I was a kid.
Right.
Extremely effective. And boom, I was hooked. I said, okay, what do I got to do here? How do I do this? And a couple times a week, I'd come in for a half hour, and it was really, really great. So tell people about LeoFit.
Well, the core of what we do are these two machines you're talking about. Mm-hmm. They're called ARX Fit, and you can look them up at arxfit.com, and they'll give you info. But the reason why the machines are so effective is because they're computer controlled. The machine essentially knows how strong you are right now. So it doesn't matter if you're 90 or 19 or 9. It can sense how strong you are. And the whole idea is to put forth your maximum effort for how strong you are right now. And what that allows you to do is achieve the greatest amount of adaptation in your body that's able to be achieved in one set of exercise. Now, people normally go and do 3 sets of 10, curls, chest press, and all that. The only part of those 3 sets that does any good, really, is the last second or two of the last set when you can't finish that rep. That's where the benefit comes from. So the previous 29 reps were kind of a waste of time. You could just pick up a heavy weight, go to the point where your muscles can't curl anymore and stay there for 30 or 60 seconds. That would be better than what people are doing when they do 3 sets of 10. Our machines, though, the machines sense your strength as it is right now by the millisecond. It graphs it on a chart while you're pushing, and it gives you just a little bit more than you can put out second by second. And what that allows you to do is to do 1 set per body part, 1 curl, 1 bench press, 1 leg press, 1 tricep press. But you do 6 to 8 reps, and you are completely exhausted by that last rep. The machine sees to it that you are if you're putting out your effort. You can actually do a full body workout in 20 minutes, even 15. 30's in my gym, 30's kind of on the long side.
Well, I'm not. 30 means I get to have a nice big long break in between.
Right. There's a lot of chatting going on when it goes to 30.
Yeah. But it's a full body workout.
Full body.
It's all the exercises are everyone's going to recognize. You ever been to a gym? Even if you have never been to a gym, if you've never worked out before, this thing's foolproof, and you have people with you the entire time.
Right. We have a coach that's with you, so you have your coach that's making sure that you're doing the exercises right. But it's pretty hard on these machines to do them wrong because the moment you get to where you can't do it, the pressure stops. If you stop pushing, the weight stops. It's in a fraction of a second, so you really can't get hurt. And you have the screen coaching you. After you've done your first workout, there's a wave showing how much you were outputting, and the wave gets smaller and lower as you go along because your muscles are fatiguing. On your next workout, you see the last workout, and you're competing against yourself on a computer screen. And you have your coach pushing you to get that all-out workout.
And that piece you just said, I don't think it's talked about enough. One of the major issues, one of the reasons I gained so much weight is I have a major back problem. I had a disc removed when I was a kid, and I can't emphasize just how bad it is, basically. I mean, it's really been, it's really been difficult. It's very, very difficult to deal with. And part of that is, I'd get into the gym, I'd get into a rhythm, I'd get into a groove, I'd get on a schedule, and then 2-3 weeks into it, boom, it would, I'd re-injure my back basically, and then I'm done for 2 months. I'm on my back, I'm sleeping, not sleeping necessarily, but laying in bed. You can't. You're immobile. You injure yourself, especially your back. You're immobile, and then boom, it's like, all right, well, now you either starving yourself, or you're going to gain weight because you just can't. When you're immobile, you just can't move enough to burn calories. What I've noticed at LeoFit is I don't get injured because you can't push. It only pushes back on you as hard as you push on it.
Right.
So if you start to get injured, or if your muscles start to get weak, or something starts to give, then the tension also gives.
Right. The moment you stop pushing, it stops pushing. The moment you stop pulling, it stops pulling.
So if you throw 225 pounds on a bar and you're going to bench press that, you're always pushing 225 pounds. So if your muscles start to give out, you get an injury, something happens, you're still dealing with 225 pounds.
And that's why people get hurt.
And that's how people get hurt. That's how I would get hurt. I've never been injured on your machines.
We've been open 3 years and have had thousands of sessions, and no one has been hurt.
Yeah.
And that includes people that come in with injuries. We have a 95-year-old guy that works out. I mean, he was completely frail when he showed up. And I like to use that word frail because most Americans past the age of 60 these days are frail. They've lost muscle mass. They're weak. They're a little bit overweight. And that's how they get hurt, is because they try to do exercise like they were 20 and they're lifting 100 pounds, say, in a bench press. And they're pushing against that 100 the whole time. When they start to weaken towards the end, that's when they get hurt. On our machine, if you can push 100 on the first rep, you'll get 100. On the second rep, you'll get probably 98 or 95. By the third rep, you're down to 80. But you can't push any more than that if you're fatiguing your muscles in the proper manner, which is as hard as you can for the strength that you are right now. Again, by the second.
And when I started in the gym back in the 80s, late 80s, what you said is true. You do 3 sets of 10.
Right.
That was it. That was the instructions. Do 3 sets of 10. Okay, well, how much? Just do 3 sets of 10. And over the last few decades, they've really figured out 2 concepts. I mean, maybe there's more, but the 2 concepts I recognize that your machines really work on have to do with working out till failure and then time under tension.
Right.
And those 2 things are enormously effective because, like you said, if you do 10 reps, you're not really, the first 9 is really just warming up for that 10th, and that's where you actually are building muscle.
Right.
That's where you're actually doing what you need to do. But the going till failure, meaning going until your muscle is absolutely completely fatigued, that's what helps build muscle, and that has to do with how much time you're actually time under tension, how much time you're actually pushing. And with LeoFit, you're basically maxing out the entire time.
You're maxing out from the very moment you start, but again, you're maxing out for how strong you are right now. So It doesn't matter how weak you are, you're still going to be maxing out in a safe manner at that level. And you mentioned time under tension. That's actually an old concept now. What actually matters is going to temporary muscle failure. That 2 seconds where you can't finish and the weight feels like 1,000 pounds because you can't finish it, that's the part that counts. That's when your muscle fibers are adapting. And the only reason we exercise is because we want an adaptation. We either want our muscles to get stronger, we want them to get bigger, or we want our metabolism to speed up. And the third thing is we want our body to lose weight. Fourth thing, those are why we exercise. It's one of those four things or a combination, and they're all considered adaptations by the body. Your body doesn't adapt for going for a half-hour walk every day for 5 years.
Right.
The first 3 times you did the half-hour walk, you got pretty much all the benefit you were going to get. The next 4 years and 333 days, you were just walking, and your body learns to lower your the calories necessary to do that walk. So the rest of the walks are basically a waste of time. And my best example is that there's 2 ladies that walk in my neighborhood. They're definitely not listening to this show. But they've been walking for 5 years, and I've watched them for 5 years. They walk for an hour a day for 5 years, freezing cold, hot of summer. After 5 years of walking, they look exactly the same as the day they started because they got the benefit from the first 3 or 4 walks, and after that, it was just walking. Their body lowers their calorie consumption to match that walk because it already adapted to it on the first 3 or 4 walks. But on our machines, you're pushing to the level that you're getting a body adaptation and actually upregulating of your metabolism, your strength, your muscle size, every second of every exercise. And that's why you can do a full body workout in 15 or 20 minutes.
And that's only been the last few decades, too, where people have thought of building muscle in order to burn calories and lose weight.
Right.
The thinking has always been, if you want to lose weight, you got to go jog 5 miles or whatever, right? And that's, and really, if you go jog a mile, you go burn 100 calories in that, whatever, maybe 90, maybe 105, but somewhere around 100 calories.
Right.
But then that's it. You don't, that's it. You stop jogging, you stop burning,
Well, the sad thing about that is that when you jog for a mile and you burn 100 calories, I think we're going to a break.
Yep, keep going. You got
You
time.
burn the 100 calories. Your body the next day will demand that you eat those calories back. That's why you start craving food.
PRMI Mortgage, primeres.com/Alpine. If you're looking to buy or refi, or if you're considering a reverse mortgage, call our local mortgage guy that you can trust. Call Chris Wiley at PRMI Mortgage. For nearly 25 years, Chris has been helping local San Diegans with all of their mortgage needs. They make it easy. Work with a friendly expert team that will help you get the best deal on mortgages. Call Chris Wiley, 619-722-1303, or just go to primeres.com/Alpine. All right, we're back with Leo Hamel. He's got a company called Leo Fit. So I do have a question. You have 2 machines.
Correct.
What if you get 30 people in?
We don't. We never have more than 3 people training at a
So
time.
basically, you schedule people in. They just don't walk in and jump on the machine.
No.
Well, how come Michael gets to do it?
Enormously efficient because I set an appointment. They say, all right,
you told me you
Tuesday.
just walk in, the place shuts down, and you go jump on the machine.
I'm so important.
I know.
I'm a legend in my own mind.
Where were these machines developed and designed?
I couldn't tell you that.
Oh, okay.
But the development of them was based on science. It's a brilliant idea, and they work. There's only 2 machines on the market, this brand and another brand. The other one's a home brand,
right,
which doesn't have a screen, so you can't really
you need
watch.
To see.
You need to see what your effort you're putting out, and the benefit of comparing to the last session inspires you to be a little bit stronger, which brings up an interesting point, and this is a fact. When people start doing this exercise, they get stronger every workout, every time. They come in 20 minutes twice a week, and they can see on the computer that
so twice a week is what you recommend?
Twice a week for 20 minutes is all you need to do.
Wow.
And you will get stronger for at least 3 months, and some people get stronger for 3 years, virtually every workout.
So the 90-year-old guy, how long has he been coming in?
About a year and a half. And when he first came, he drove a scooter down the hill because he lived in the neighborhood. He couldn't get off his scooter onto the machine on his own. We had to help him. That's how frail he was. Within 4 or 5 months, he was getting off the scooter himself and getting on the machines. I mean, he had gained that much strength back in just a couple of months.
So is he 86 the scooter yet, or is he just like riding the scooter?
No, he actually hurt himself on his scooter, so we haven't seen him for a few months, but he'll be back. He's hurt himself a couple of times. But
yeah. It really is. I'm in and out of gyms for like 25
Well,
or
you were
whatever,
very
30
impressed
years.
back in the day when you
Yeah.
first started doing it.
Yeah. And I've never seen muscle build so quickly. I've never seen muscle build so quickly, especially with, with how much time I wasn't spending there, just a couple of times a week. It wasn't making any sense to me, like how efficient it was. Okay, so we're talking about fitness. We're talking about Leo Fit. We're using all kinds of terms like
What's that
time
got
and
to
attention.
do with guns?
What does it got to do with guns?
Right.
And Leo, you've been shooting like the earth cooled, and you started
Right.
shooting. So you know your way around guns better than just about anybody. So or just as much as
good as
anybody.
anybody,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what does this have to do with guns?
Well, one of the things I noticed when I started taking training classes and instructors is that, actually, I started when I was in the National Guard and I was a pistol shooter. And it drove me crazy that the front sight was waving all over the target. Now, they would tell you that it's okay, just squeeze the trigger. But the stronger you get, the easier it is to keep that waving into a smaller circle over the target. Same with a rifle. Same with the crosshairs of a scope. The stronger you are, especially in the positions where we hold a gun, which is unnatural. It's not normal to hold something out in front of you with one or two hands. But building up shoulder strength, bicep strength, and even trigger finger strength will make you a more accurate shooter because you're controlling the mechanics, the weight of the machine, which is the gun, better. So the whole idea of me on the show today was the stronger you are, you should be able to shoot better, assuming you're doing all the techniques properly.
So these machines do the full body,
Yes.
as you mentioned fingers.
Yes, because when you do a row, for example, you're pulling towards you, your fingers are exhausted
Truly.
after 90 seconds. You can barely hold on to the handle.
The grip, it's insane. Like having to hold on to all that. The other thing that when you're guiding weight down, you can guide more weight down than you can push. You know what I mean? You can only push a certain amount up, right? But when you're guiding weight down, you can guide a whole lot of weight down. So this machine compensates, and it pushes as much as you can handle, which is a whole lot on the way down, maybe not as much on the way up. But that grip it takes, especially when you're rowing or when you're doing any kind of pull, really, the amount of your forearms, your grip,
They tingle.
They tingle. They tingle, Dave. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yes.
I had a sneaky feeling.
But again, it's all this. It's the normal exercise. Bench and row and legs and calf and then pull downs and lat pulls and it's all the.
I like the 20-minute aspect of it.
And that part is really, really cool. If you the thought of going to the gym, hour and a half minimum. But here you can get it done in 20. I'm going to say set aside about a half hour, 20 to 25 or 25 to 30 minutes.
As much as I talk, I'll be there all day.
And you're in and out. If your appointment's at 10 a.m., you're out by 10:30.
You out at 10:30.
Yeah, boom, 10 a.m. Welcome, sit down, start working. Boom, 10:30, you're out.
Well, let's talk about the most important. What's it cost?
It's about $50 a session.
That's it.
Yep. So
You're never going to make any money paying off that machine.
We really should be charging more, but that's what we're charging. So if you look at 2 sessions a week, $100, if you can invest $5,000 in a year into your body, it will be completely different at the end of that year. You'll be significantly stronger. I would guess somewhere between 20 and 50%, and that's not an exaggeration.
Yeah. So we talked off air about diet.
Right.
Because, everybody will tell you, all the diet stuff on TV, and then in little teeny print that you can't read, states you need to exercise.
Right.
So how do you attribute a diet to, say, Michael versus Joe? Or is the diet pretty much the same?
The interesting thing about diets, and believe me, in the last 3 years, I've studied a lot of studies, studied a lot of reports, a lot of articles. So a diet doesn't really matter. As long as you're consuming slightly less of the calories per day than you're exerting, you will lose weight. The problem with most diets, like I was talking about with walking every day, when you go on a diet and you consume, say you're supposed to eat 2,500 calories a day to maintain your weight, you eat 1,500 calories because you want to get into a wedding dress. This is very typical for a lady to say, I've got a wedding dress to get into in a month, and she wants to lose 10 pounds in a month. She will lose 10 pounds in a month eating 1,000 calories a day. She will lose on a scale. She'll get in her dress, and then within the next 2 months, all 10 pounds will come back, plus one to two more every time. That's why they've never had a reunion show for The Greatest Loser, because Every contestant, this is a fact, every contestant gained all their weight back plus more.
How many times have you seen people that do that? They'll bust their butt. And I used to say, well, the reason it's all coming back is that's how the good Lord made you. I mean, if you're that size, you're that size. And if you do exercise, you do diet, you get down to that, let's get into our wedding dress size. And then when you're all done with the wedding and you don't exercise and you don't diet, then you're going to blossom back to what you were and then some.
Well, that's how Felipe's made you. It's not how the good Lord made you.
Is that how Felipe's made me? I don't know.
Actually, if you want to look at it from that way, nature, God, whatever, God designed or nature designed your body to be a certain weight.
Right.
We overeat and get that weight up. Your brain gets used to that weight.
Sure.
So when you lose weight, it wants to go back. Now, the brilliance of these machines is when you're doing intense exercise. This is called high-intensity resistance training. When you're doing high-intensity resistance training, your body upregulates your metabolism, so you burn more calories. You lose weight, fat, not muscle. Most diets you lose about half and half fat, half muscle. Very easy to take off 10 pounds. But what comes back is about a quarter pound of muscle, and the rest is all fat. Then another 1 or 2 on top of that.
Gotcha.
But by doing high-intensity exercise, you change the way your muscles are functioning. It's called remodeling. They basically change during this process. They don't change when you're doing 3 sets of 10. That's why you see guys in a gym for 5 years doing their 3 sets of 10. They might look a little better after 5 years, but they could have looked a little better after 3 months if they did intense short exercise.
And it's hard to, when you're in a caloric deficit, it's hard to build muscle. I found I was in a caloric deficit, and I found, not just maintaining, but building muscle, going to LeoFit was totally possible.
You can build muscle. That's rare, but you can certainly maintain your muscle. I don't want to use me as an example because I'm bragging or anything, but I've been on a very strict keto type diet, which I recommend if someone wants to talk about it. But I've been 35 days on a keto diet. My weight dropped dramatically. Then it started coming back. And if you saw that, you'd think I'm failing. But if you look at my body fat percentage, it's down like 3%.
It goes from fat to
right. So
don't you have like a gadget?
Right. We have a thing called a Cosmed Bod Pod, which is a medical grade instrument. Cosmed is the brand.
Okay.
Bod Pod is the model.
Bod Pod. And
it's a machine. It's a device that you get into. So we seal it, and it tells you your body composition. If you've ever seen people dunking in a pool or heard of the hydrostatic, that's giving you a body composition. Ours is a dry method. It's equal in efficacy. It's the same thing, except it uses air pressure instead of water.
And it'll give you your BMI.
It'll give you no BMI is something else.
Oh,
it'll give you your percentage of body fat versus muscle and bone.
Right. Gotcha.
Lean tissue versus
that's even more specific.
Body fat.
And you mentioned off air when I mentioned about a diet, you say, "Oh yeah, we give you the diet," but most people don't stick with it.
They don't. But so a person has to have the right mental attitude with diet. But even if you eat a bad diet, if you're doing high intensity exercise, you will slowly become more fit.
I was going to say you'll at least be stronger.
And you probably lose a little bit of weight because your metabolism is increasing.
You have to quit drinking beer?
No.
But
vodka's probably better.
I was good when I was losing a bunch of weight. I kind of plateaued here. I had my back actually flared up in January, unrelated to LeoFit. But I was good about 80% of the time. I figured, you know what? If you can be good about 80% of the time,
you're just mad because Denny's quit doing spaghetti.
That was the 20%. Denny's spaghetti was 20%.
Leo, you ever go to Denny's and eat their spaghetti?
Not for decades.
Not ever.
It's delicious.
Not for decades.
It was delicious.
But it is delicious.
That's two.
Thank you.
That I know.
But it's really amazing. I really enjoy it. You get a great. It's located in.
It's in the same building as our jewelry store on San Diego Avenue, which is right across from the airport.
Close to
Isn't that in Old Town?
Yeah, just south of Old Town. Yeah.
So how often if somebody wants to do this, you need to call ahead of time because I'm sure you have tons of people coming in.
They do need to call and make an appointment because we only have limited slots
to
start new people. But your first visit will be probably 40 minutes to get you tuned in, educated on the machines, walk you through it, do an exercise. Most people feel stronger after the first one.
Do you go in spandex?
You have to sign up to find out. That's one of the benefits of being a LeoFit.
You could put
customer.
him on the wall. That would be a real motivator. We live in a time where the mainstream media and politicians are trying to eliminate your ability to defend yourself. Gun control laws don't work? Think about it. Criminals do not obey the law. Gun control laws just make it harder for law-abiding citizens to protect themselves and their loved ones. Making good guys helpless doesn't make bad guys harmless. Help us restore and defend the Second Amendment. Hit the like and subscribe button and share the show with a friend. All right, so Action Jackson, what do you say we go down to Leo Fit? What do you think?
Yep.
Get all swole.
Then you could start looking like, like one of your.
Like Chase.
No, you don't want to look like Chase. Chase has got too much hair.
He's pretty ripped.
I was gonna say Hulk, but
You want to look like the Hulk, right?
I can see that.
Yeah. We just had to paint you green. But that's okay. You'd look good in green, right? Probably.
maybe.
Yeah. Got to cut your hair, though.
I'd be envious if you were green.
Yeah, I would, too.
All right. I like, by the way, I want to go back. Making good guys helpless doesn't make bad guys harmless. I think that's one of my favorite Second Amendment phrases.
Yeah, I agree.
We got to make a shirt.
That'd be a good shirt.
It is. It makes so much sense. It's not snarky. It's not silly. It's fact. I like it. What's your favorite Second Amendment?
Well, we're asking a lot of favorites out of
That
you.
one right now. No, I hadn't seen that one before. I like that.
I like it too. It's starting to pick up. Rich, where'd you find the good guys helpless? Making good guys helpless doesn't make bad guys harmless. Where did you find that? Is it a meme floating around, or did you think of it? We're giving Rich the credit. Good job, man.
Bathroom wall. So you going down to Leo Fit?
I'm seriously going to take a look at that. Yeah,
I
because I
think we
wanted
should-
to start doing that something anyway. I was just going to go back to the gym because now that I'm an old guy,
I know.
gym memberships are free. So, but if I could accomplish the same thing in much less time,
I'm getting back into it. I stopped for a few months. I got to start going.
I was
back.
going to
well,
ask.
that's completely reasonable too. I was expecting, to hear, well, it's $250 to start, and it's this or that. $50 a session is completely.
So that's
reasonable.
100. That's $400 a month.
a week. That's not bad.
Yeah. It's easy. It's good. I had a rough year though, so I had to back out for a few. But I'm back. I'm back at
I'm
it.
sure you can back out, and then as long as you, I would think.
Yeah, there's not
the
like
diet is what you really got to watch.
Yeah, well, that definitely helps. It's the whole package, but there's he doesn't have like a commitment, or anything.
Right.
It's not like
you
you're
gotta
losing.
sign a 6-year contract.
Nothing like that. So it's pretty. So that's good, because it makes it easy.
How big is the facility?
It's like an office. It's like a small office suite kind of thing. It's just big enough for
For you and your consultant.
Yeah, but you're the only ones there.
Well, that's what's nice. You're not sitting there with a whole bunch of buff dudes.
Yeah.
And you're feeling bad.
No, there's also we didn't talk about it, but in the back there's another company that has the cryogenic recovery deal. So what you do is you strip down to your skivvies, and they give you earmuffs and gloves, and you get into this little telephone booth. And it brings you down to it's like 30 below zero, and like I said, you're just standing there in your underwear, your underoos.
You're down 30 below zero.
Yeah, and you stay in there for a couple minutes. It's supposed to help muscle recovery or whatever. But I just wanted to go feel what 30 below zero in my underwear felt like. That's the only reason I did it.
Well, I've
By
been
the way,
at 40
the answer
below.
is it feels cold.
I've been at 40 below, and that will never ever happen again.
I'd been at 30 below before, but not in my underwear. But it really hurts to breathe. It hurts to breathe a little bit.
Don't they just freeze you and bring you back in 2097 when there's
Once they
Republicans
found
in
out-
office?
No, that's when they cut
Once
your
they found
head
a
off. They
cure.
cut your head off and freeze it. That's what they got.
All right.
Yeah.
We got to ask a question, I think.
I think we should.
Stump My Nephew, everybody's favorite segment. If you send us a question, gun trivia, and we use it, we'll give you a hat or a shirt. Right, Action Jackson?
Yep.
If we, if you stump him, if you stump my nephew, you'll get some kind of cool special prize. Right now, you're playing for Gun Prom tickets. Gun Prom, June 18th, coming up less than 2 weeks away. You'll be able to meet Leo Hamel. You'll be able to meet Action Jackson. You'll be able to meet Dave Stahl. You'll be able to meet Chase, the dog.
Don't forget Joe Germisi.
Joe Germisi.
With one of his favorite guns.
Yeah. Which gun? Have you decided which gun you're going to bring to Gun Prom? Joe.
Oh my God, he's
Yeah.
on the.
It'll be one of the 4 that's on my license.
The safest dinner in all of San Diego County. I guarantee you that. All right. Sam the Gunman, how are you, man?
Not bad. How are you guys?
Fantastic. What are you carrying these days?
Mostly I carry my Glock 43X because I don't have a holster for my other handguns, but I'm getting a leather holster made for my Chiappa Rhino so I can carry it at work.
Have you shot that thing yet?
Oh, yeah. I've put several hundred rounds through it. It's great. It's fantastic.
Did we talk to you about it on air yet? Have you given us a little mini review?
I don't think so, but do you have a question for me tonight?
I have a question, but I don't want to talk.
Yeah, let's get with the program.
I know this guy. He's like,
I was going to ask him if he's seen Top Gun yet, but I
can't
guess
stray at
we'll
all
do
from
that
it. This
later.
guy's all business. Okay.
I just want to give people what they're tuning in for.
Oh, that's nice of you.
That'd be different here.
I guess we have 3 questions tonight.
There you go. All right, you ready to ask the question? I didn't prepare you. Are you able to ask the question?
Yep.
You read that?
Here we go.
Who's that from?
1, 2, 3.
Pete from
Tucson,
Arizona.
Arizona.
There you go. Pete from Tucson, Arizona.
Asks what gun was used for the prop for the Jawa characters in the original Star Wars movie.
Excellent question.
Sunny Tucson,
Dave's not
Arizona.
impressed.
Thanks very much for writing in. Are the Jawas the ones wearing the hoods and they've got the glowing eyes?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know what gun was used as the stand-in per se, but it was based on the Jazale, which is a traditional musket from Afghanistan and that region of the world. I don't know what they actually used as the stand-in, though. Maybe a Martini Henry or a Lee Enfield or something.
I think you're thinking of the
He
sand.
said Lee Enfield.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
What did you?
Yeah, he said Lee Enfield.
He
At the
said,
very
pay
end.
attention.
Oh,
He said Lee
He
Enfield.
did.
my
He
bad.
said Lee Enfield.
Okay. Well,
I knew it was coming. He just was going. He always likes to give us a choice.
I missed it. So you said Lee Enfield? You're right. World War II, .303 caliber, Lee Enfield rifle number 1, Mark III. The ion blaster used by the Jawas on Tatooine to capture R2-D2 was another heavily modified firearm to have a brief moment in Star Wars. It's actually a cut-down British short magazine Lee Enfield number 1, Mark III, fitted with a grenade launcher cup on the end. Correct.
One of the sort of neat things about Star Wars, and I'm not really a huge Star Wars guy, but something I really appreciate about it as a work of media from the 70s and from the 80s, I guess, is that George Lucas really had a thing for combining different genres of media. So Star Wars, the original Star Wars, has aspects of World War II films and adventure films and westerns and martial arts movies. So it's a lot of the blasters they use in the movies are actually based on chopped up World War II military surplus weapons. Now, unfortunately, they were a lot more common back then than they are now. So it's sort of sad to see those pieces of history being broken up and used as movie props. And it's especially sad when a Star Wars fan gets his hands on something that he doesn't know how much it's worth, and of course chops it up to make a non-firing replica.
Yeah, Han Solo's blaster was a broom something or other, broom handle.
Yeah, he had a Mauser C96 nicknamed the broom handle. His was of course modified. They all were. The stormtroopers had, I think, Sterling submachine guns or maybe Lanchesters.
Who would even know
There's
that?
nothing this kid doesn't know, am I right?
As much as I've watched Star Wars, I thought they were just guns.
Now, to be fair, how much does a Lee Enfield rifle go for, like by itself, and not as a prop in the
Without
movie or
being
anything?
chopped up.
Yeah, exactly. How much would that go for?
Depending on model and condition, I've seen them within the past few years going from anywhere between $400 and $1,200.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, I remember they had it up for auction. And it's about the same price.
But you think, Sam, they'd take a real gun, or wouldn't they just replicate it, in the prop shop?
Well, I think nowadays they just replicate them because they're rare. But back in the 70s, people were rolling in $20 Lee Enfields, so it would be cheaper to chop one of those up than to
replicate it
out of pipes.
It's kind of like, you remember, I don't even know if they still are, but the Moist and the Gaunts were like, remember how you could buy like 10 of those for $20 or something like that?
Yeah, everyone.
So many of them.
The Gaunts were really cool because back 10, 20 years ago, you could get them for $50, $100, but now they have a little bit of a less favorable reputation because they're $300 or $400 now and being compared to rifles that are equally expensive.
Well, there you go. All right, my friend, awesome job. You got it right again, even though I didn't hear you right. I apologize, but fortunately, you got the peanut gallery here. Heard what you said, so
we're very attentive.
Very attentive. Very congratulations.
All right, buddy.
Cool question. Thanks for writing in, Pete. Everyone, keep the questions coming, and as always, thanks for having me on.
All right, buddy, you're the best. Hey, folks, subscribe to our show and give us a 5-star review. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. And support all our great, great sponsors, San Diego County, Orange County, Inland Empire Gun Owners, the Dillon Law Group, PRMI Mortgage, Sage Tree Digital Marketing, Seal One, Leo Hamel's Fine Jewelry, San Diego Flight Training International, and thanks to Joe Dramisi, Michael Schwartz, Sam the Gunman, Action Jackson, and the Wild One in the Box, Brendan Thomas. Right here. Oh, Mr. Bob Siegel's coming up next, and I got a feeling it's a smoking show. Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1 AM 1170.
The answer.